Ian, what's happening, buddy? You ready to roll? You good?
Well, what's going on, guys? How are you?
Awesome. So we kind of stumbled into something, and I threw it by TIki. He doesn't necessarily disagree. Let me throw it by you. Possibly a bit hyperbolic and possibly living in the moment a little. But I could make the strong case that this is one of, if not the biggest game in terms of perception for any quarterback, certainly in recent memory, if not ever. And I'll tell you why very quickly. There's a fork in the road. Stafford plays well. You'll have those dissenting voices, the naysayers, and wins. You know, the Lions really did hold him down organizationally. If he plays poorly, and then he loses and he loses, then you can say, maybe it wasn't the Lions, maybe it's just Stafford. Can you latch on to that at all? Can you buy that?
Yeah, I sort of don't really buy that when it comes to, if he plays badly. Like, I feel like Stafford has proven what he's needed to prove as far as like big game quarterbacking, right? Like, he's been in the playoffs, he's played well in the playoffs, he's made big throws when he needs to. It's pretty clear to me that he has kind of risen above any of the, Detroit Lionness of where his career was in the past. Like, I feel like the struggles with the Lions were mostly because their organization has been struggling for, many, many years. Now, he was part of it, and I don't think he really helped them really rise above anything. But I don't know that there's any questions about what kind of big game quarterback Matthew Stafford could be, because to get here, he's obviously had to play extremely well.
I don't know. Let me just push back a little bit, Teak, and then you grab it, obviously. It's a small sample, so I'm not going to, push this to the edge of the mountain and die on the cliff here. But, I mean, to prove all of that was a function of the lack of functionality in Detroit, I think you got to win. Like even if he wins and doesn't play that well, that's fine. But if he plays poorly, multiple turnovers, and they lose, his playoff record is below 500. And let's face it, he loses a game, he's favored by close to a touchdown to win. So I would disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. And, let's say, the Bengals defense has had moments where it has really come out and played extremely well. So, let's say that happens again. I do think there are going to be people that say, well, which Matthew Stafford is real, or big moments and all that. But I just don't think that he sort of needs to prove anything, because, playoffs are all small sample size, right? So I think he's sort of fine where he is. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's, to me, the next level, sort of regardless of whatever happens. I feel like it's more, I feel like the reaction, let's say the Rams go out and play poorly, the reaction will be the Rams went for it and didn't get it, rather than something more related to Stafford.
Yeah. Tell me about the sustainability of these teams. Because when I look at their rosters and I look at the free agent nature, we know what the Rams have been doing really since 2017, trying to build for a championship. It's like, all right, we're going to compromise our cap because we're going to go get this guy. And they did it again this year with Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller, etc. They've built themselves to win now, really, for the last 4 or 5 years. The Cincinnati Bengals are very similar, especially on the defensive side of the ball, not offensively because they've drafted unbelievably over there, but defensively, it's all these like stopgaps. And I think that's allowed Lou Anarumo to create different schemes defensively. But it almost feels like whichever one of these teams wins, they're probably not going to get back. I mean, it's a different model than we've seen and gotten used to, but it's worked for them. What's the sustainability of either of these teams?
Well, as far as the Bengals go, I really think they do have sustainability because they have a young, cheap, awesome quarterback. And, the Bengals don't need much, honestly. I mean, maybe they'll retool a little bit on defense, but they look good. It's really just the offensive line, really. Fix the offensive line, get it so Joe Burrow. And it's not just the line. I mean, he holds the ball and gets hit a lot. So sort of fix that situation. And to me, the Bengals should be really good for a while. The Rams, I understand why I don't want to say perception because it is reality, but I understand why the talk has been about them going for it. Mm-hmm. But it has been incredible for me to watch because they go all in, and then everyone talks about how they go all in. And then next year they get new draft picks back, and then they go all in with those. And then when they get their first rounder back in a couple of years, they'll probably go all in with those. So it's like they do trade a lot of their picks, but they do it for proven players who have been awesome. Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, Matthew Stafford. I mean, these are premium guys. And so, yes, they are mortgaging the future, but they get a new future every year with draft picks. They just happen to trade them. So I think as long as they are consistent, they can sort of sustain this, especially if Stafford's going to be around for a while and play pretty well.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking to Ian Rapoport, NFL Network, and he's with us here on TIki and Tierney on the Fan. So when did you get to California, Ian? Just curious.
I got here on Sunday.
Okay, so you've been out there a couple days, get a sense of the land, and, generally for those who don't know, Radio Row, the first couple of days, it's relatively desolate, probably more so this year because of COVID. Right around today, Thursday for sure, you start amping up the energy for the actual game itself. I'm curious, on the record, off the record, how much of the discussions and interactions you've had have been about the game versus Flores in that situation?
There has been a lot of discussion about Flores. I mean, I was down in Mobile for 4 days, and basically every single coach that came up to me wanted to talk about Brian Flores, and they should, because it is incredibly important. And Roger Goodell's press conferences today, and there's a lot of things that are good. The games have been great. The football has been awesome. Financially, everyone's great, but the issues are very real, and it is sort of the racially charged or biased or racist, however you want to describe it, nature of some of these hirings and the hiring cycle and how it has been. It is the Washington football, or I guess the Commanders now, their investigation, and Dan Snyder now saying he's going to independently investigate himself. I thought that was pretty interesting. There's a lot of real issues to get to, so I think it's all part of Super Bowl week. The game is going to be awesome. I'm not sure it's the most high-profile game we've ever had, but the actual football game is going to be awesome. But it does feel like some of the week has been about these very real and important issues.
Yeah, it's got to be. You can't bury the important stuff in the corner of the room for a game. And I do agree. I think this game could be awesome. But what's not awesome is the rookie level in which the NFL handles their PR. I mean, Ian, you're connected. You know how this goes. Can you explain to us in clear terms why the NFL stumbles on the most basic issues? The lawsuit comes out in 35 minutes. They basically refute it and say it's baseless. Then, of course, 3 days later, they've got to follow it up and say, it's complete. Like the Kamara situation at the Pro Bowl, he plays, then he gets arrested. Like, why do they continue to butcher the most basic things?
Yeah, I mean, the Kamara situation, I was surprised by that. I saw the local report about how the NFL and Kamara was informed that he was a suspect, and then he played. Obviously, that's a concern. I'll be curious to see if Goodell is asked about that today. That's a real issue. As far as the Flores thing, I think based on the memo that Roger Goodell put out a couple of days later, it was a mistake. It was just a mistake.
But how do you make that mistake? That's a big mistake.
Good. I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. And,
okay.
It was the most important thing to me is that the league takes this serious. And it's not, I know we talk about the league, but we should talk about the owners, right? Because, the league has done a lot of things as far as the hiring to, you have to interview a minority candidate in person. These searches, which have taken forever, have been much more expansive than they've ever been, which is good. More candidates, more looks, all of that. And I think that's been good. But it comes down to who the owners actually hire. And I feel like I studied this as much as anyone else, and I don't know how to get the owners to hire more diverse candidates, different candidates, like people who come from different backgrounds. Like, in the end, that's what it has to come down to. Maybe you incentivize it enough.
Yeah.
I have not been able to figure it out, and it is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, we got two theoretically. One, Mike McDaniel and Lovie Smith, because the Lovie Smith one is odd to us, and we don't understand why you would fire David Culley and then hire his defensive coordinator unless something was really amiss with David Culley, which from the outside in, I don't know if that was necessarily the case. But do you ever think And I ran this by my brother and a couple of people I know around the league. Like, do you ever think there would be an owner that would say, you know what? I see what's going on. I think it's unfair to us that we're getting labeled racist, and we're probably not. We just have our preferences, and our general managers have their preferences. But I'm going to hire the best black coach I can find. Do you think that ever would happen?
I really don't. I don't know. I don't know if it should. I mean, to me, you should hire the best coach for your team, regardless of race. But there are some excellent black coaches. And this year, I mean, this is like a million times more frustrating, but this was a really good crop of minority candidates. It really was. From Todd Bowles and Brian Flores. Raheem Morris doesn't have a job. Gerard Mayo is an up-and-coming young coach who I think is going to do a really good job. Mike McDaniel, whose father is black. He's biracial. He got hired. That was good. This was a really good group of minority candidates, and it was Lovie Smith, which is good, and he does have a above 500 record. He has been to the Super Bowl. That is good, but it should have been better. It really should have been better.
Ian, appreciate it, buddy. Nice chat. A little state of the league, a little bit on the game. Stafford, obviously. Look forward to it. Enjoy the game, and thank you as always. Appreciate it, bud.